Yo, what up, what up, what up? Today, I want to dive into a world where your words shape the destiny of an entire realm. I'm talking about the captivating interactive fiction game Choice of Rebels Uprising. This isn't just any game. I consider it more of a journey where every decision you make carves out a unique path and a richly woven narrative. Imagine a game where your choices don't just nudge the story along or give you an illusion of choice, looking at you Fallout 4, but completely transform it. That's what Choice of Rebels is all about. Now, stop imagining it as a regular game. This game is considered interactive fiction. Think of it as a novel where you're the main characters and your choices dictate how the story unfolds. Now, if you're looking for a frame of reference of what interactive fiction is, maybe you're not familiar, and maybe you have no clue who the company who made the games are, Choice of Games. These interactive fiction pieces are a lot like popular visual novels on Steam, like Life of Sir Bronte, or probably the most popular one I can think of is Doki Doki Literature Club. Imagine it like that, but without pictures, just pure imagination. It's a pretty intense blend of immersive storytelling, strategic decision making, and a test of your moral compass and what you think should remain and what should be torn down in a corrupt society. In this review, I'll take you through the heart of Choice of Rebels, exploring its gameplay mechanics, the depth of its storyline, and how it stacks up against other games in the genre. So, whether you're a veteran of text based adventures or you're just dipping your toes into the world of interactive fiction, I think this game has something for everyone. So let's grab your Rebel gear and let's dive into this revolutionary narrative experience. And as always, if you played Choice of Rebels, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, how you played, what your backstory was, what you think about the world and the upcoming-ish sequel. Now, in the game, you play as either a noble or a helot. A helot is a slave in the in-game universe. Only context I've ever heard of a slave being called a helot is in ancient Spartan culture. So I'm just going to call him a slave. There is no functional difference in the definition of a slave or a helot. I'm going to be using those words interchangeably. So, no matter your background, you are born into Shi'ar, a province in the Karaman hegemony that used to be an independent kingdom about 300 years ago in game. Now, depending on what background you pick, you'll have different reasons for hating the powers that be. The helots in this world face something called the harrowing, which is where once a year, or whenever the religious authorities feel like it, they randomly call some slaves to be fed into a harrower, which is a machine with a bunch of blades in it that you're fed into, basically. Like you're shoved into that thing, which essentially crushes you with knives. It's very painful, and then it collects your blood for magicians, basically, to use. And only the Helot class is subjected to it in universe. The reason for the harrowing that the Helots are told is so that the demons beyond the realm of the hegemony can't get in, and the harrowing is supposed to help prevent that. They also hate the hegemony and nobles of the realm for keeping them basically as slaves. They're treated as cattle, basically. It's a lot like chattel slavery in the U.S. and a bit of serfdom mixed together. Again, this is a fictional universe. There isn't really any direct allegory that the game is trying to make, in my opinion, but they are essentially slaves. The nobles in the realm of Shi'ar are upset with the hegemony for disregarding the rights of the nobility and treating them not as Shi'ar nobility but as lesser than the nobles of the hegemony. They also dislike a foreign culture being in charge of them. There are some other grievances you can have. You get to sort of choose why you're against the hegemony. Because as you start the game, you get to choose what events and problems first raise your hostility against the powers that be. So you can be upset with them for maybe corrupting the true faith that all the people in the world follow, or maybe you can be a complete skeptic and not believe in the religion of the world. You can get upset with them for how they treat the helots and the people that they consider them to be lesser than. There's a lot of different options. And then after that, you grow up, and depending on the choices you make, your rebellion will start with different amounts of people and motivations and loot. And your choices at the beginning of the game do actually determine some events later down the line. Now, as you make choices, it affects what stats you have and your opinions of different matters and your personality and how the world perceives you. The stats are ruthless or compassionate, skeptical or devout, and homelander or cosmopolitan. So, Some of those are pretty self-explanatory. Are you more ruthless? Do you show no mercy? Or are you compassionate? Do you forgive people? Skeptical or devout? I mean, do you believe in the powers that be? Or are you an atheist in this world? And then Homelander or Cosmopolitan? So that basically means, like, are you a Shi'ar nationalist? Do you only care about liberating the kingdom of Shi'ar? Or do you want to, save the whole known world, basically, from the hegemony? Now, you don't have to play consistently when you make decisions. You can choose any options you want. You don't have to play a consistent character. But these games do reward you for making decisions consistent with your stats. The other stats that you need to know for this game are charisma, combat, and intellect. And again, those should be pretty self-explanatory. How smart you are, how good you are at combat, and how good you are at talking to people. So you'll have to determine those skills in the prologue, and which of those skills will be your primary skill with 2 points in it, and then one of those skills will be your secondary with 1 point in it, and then one skill will just be useless. You'll have no points in it. I recommend you do not do anything relating to that skill if you don't have any points in it. So as I mentioned, a big part of this game is deciding how you want your rebellion to be run. So you can be an idealist and not even kill anyone, enemy or not. Or you can be like a bit more of a Nat Turner type, or like Spartacus and be ruthless and kill everyone who sides with the hegemony and doesn't side with you. You can steal from poor farmers to feed your rebels. Or you can only attack the nobles and the church, or any mix in between. And who you decide to attack affects who's going to support you later in the game and later in the series, as he is working on sequels. So if you're looking to have the nobles of the realm support you, you probably shouldn't attack their grain storages. Same with if you want to become a religious person in the game, you probably shouldn't attack the church's grain stores. So, during the winter, if you're a devout player, you better not attack them, otherwise your people are going to fear divine retribution. So after starting your rebellion, the winter begins, and your first challenge as a leader is to keep everyone fed and maintaining the rebellion's momentum. You have to be a bit more than just a band of bandits in the outskirts. And depending on how many people are in your band of rebels, that'll determine how many bushels of food you need to feed them each term. I think the winter system is pretty in-depth and maybe one of the best parts of the game. You can choose to buy food at the start of your turn with the loot that you've liberated from the hegemony. But that uses mules who are in short supply, who also help carry the sick and wounded, and then you can also use the mules to carry food that you steal from other people, and then you can also use mules to help you transport goods that you steal from caravans. I mean, you can be as evil as you want, or you can be really nice. I mean, if it's your first time playing, you are probably going to be desperate since you don't have the whole system down. So you can even steal from the people you're trying to help, the helots and the free farmers. But during the winter, you'll have plenty of options to keep all of your people occupied. I won't spoil everything, but you can scout institution of the hegemonies to attack, like garrisons or harrowing devices. You can attack temples or steal mules. You can also choose to lay traps around your forest base because once the winter is over, the hegemony is going to be sending troops to put down your little uprising. I think in this chapter is where the game really shines. You get to make plenty of decisions, and depending on how well of a job you're doing at leading the rebels, they're either going to be happy with your leadership, or maybe you're going to have a mutiny on your hand from your lieutenants who don't trust your leadership abilities. Now, I mentioned the choices have real consequences, such as during the winter, you can choose how chaotic you want your rebels to be. So if you attack a lot in turn, the whole outer rim, the place where the game takes place, if you throw it into anarchy, you're going to have a runaway helot who's ruthless and killed her master's son or daughter who tried to rape them, will join you. And if you keep your chaos low, then a noble who's been waiting for a rebellion to start that isn't just indiscriminate killing will join you as well. So, I mean, your choices do have some consequences, especially since those two are both the romance options, depending on which one you get. So, you do have multiple romance options in this game, and they're all able to be any gender you want, somewhat. So the helot who first starts you thinking about the rebellion's name is Braden. It's not spelled like Braden, You know what I'm trying to say. When you meet them, you get to decide if they're a man or a woman, and then depending on that choice, your next romance option will be the opposite gender. So if you choose to be a straight man, then your next romance option will be another dude, which I'm not a huge fan of because I think that's just a bit of an odd choice. But then again, if you don't like the first romance option, you can just be sneaky and choose to be attracted to men first. So then the next romance option is a woman. I mean, I don't like the first romance option at all. So my characters like are basically all bisexual for some reason. I do like almost all the romance options. They're all pretty decent. I'm a bigger fan of the second one you meet because it's either the noble or the helot. Now, one of my criticisms of this game is that the characters don't really change or grow, except if you play as a noble, as the helots who you lead start to see you as a good person and commander, not just a pampered noble. But other than that specific circumstance, characters don't really change and grow as people. So I do understand this is only the first game in a planned series, but like one of your lieutenants, his name is Radmar. At the start of the game, he is a hothead who wants to fight and just kill people, bash skulls. And at the end of the game, he's a hothead who wants to fight and bash skulls. I mean, it's semi-disappointing because everything else about this game is so responsive to your choices, except the characters. I find this game to be one of the best in the whole interactive fiction medium. I remember my first time playing this game and just falling in love and making bad decisions and seeing how characters in the world reacted to it. I think I would give this game a 9 out of 10, honestly. I think it's almost perfect. The only other interactive fiction games that I think are better is the Dragoon Saga and Fallen Hero. I think this game is one of the standouts in the genre. I mean, it's really just incredible. If any of this sounded interesting, I recommend that you buy it. I think it's only $8 and it's well worth that price. I think this game truly stands as a testament to the power of interactive fiction because it's not just about making choices. Almost every game has you make a choice. It's more about, shaping a world and dealing with the consequences of your actions, the depth of the narrative, the complexity of the decision making, because I've replayed this game a lot and there's almost always new stuff to do, new ways to approach the problem. And I think it really makes it an unforgettable experience. While the character development might not be as dynamic as we see in some other games, the choices you make and the paths you carve out more than make up for it. Again, I mean, I think it's a solid 9 out of 10. It's a must play for anyone who loves getting lost in a story, and for those who enjoy seeing their decisions come to life in a profound and meaningful way. So, whether you're a fan of the interactive fiction genre or you're just looking for a game that offers more than just the usual dull choices, I think this is a game that should not be missed. So if you did play, I want to know what you think down in the comments. Did this video make you want to buy it? Did you try it out? Did your experience along with mine? Did you think it was a good game? I mean, just drop your thoughts down below. That's all I have. This is Conduit signing off, and remember, Jesus loves you.